Hello friends, and welcome to the Gesundheit kitchen. My name is Hans Rufert, and this is our sort of regular cooking show called the Gesundheit kitchen, and always focusing on nutrition. But this month, when we're recording this, it is November, which is officially Gastric Cancer Awareness Month. And each year we do a special fundraiser. Of course, we're always trying to raise funds for research. But our fundraiser this November is called Commit to a Cure, which we really have been since our inception. And so we are asking everyone that is watching to take a moment, go to gastriccancer.org and commit to a cure by donating whatever you feel comfortable with, whether it's $5, $500, $5,000, whatever you're comfortable with. It really does make a difference. Now, we started a live video, which was going really well, and then the platform decided to have some technical difficulties. So let me walk you through kind of what we did in case you missed that section. Now, the idea here is we're putting together some things for the holidays, and I wanted to do things that you could cook once or create once and then use them in multiple applications. So, started with a cranberry sauce, and I've made these in the past, but this particular one I used equal parts blueberries and cranberries to kind of offset a little of the tartness of the cranberries. I used 1 cup of sugar, or actually in this case I used a sugar substitute that I like called Pure Cane. There are a lot of them out there, but this one acts really similar to or almost identical to sugar. It's actually made with real sugar, but it has a 0 glycemic index, so it will not spike your blood sugar. But it melts just like sugar, and so it works really well for this. And then I had 1 cup of liquid, and in this case I used a little Prosecco because I had some Prosecco that was open, so that's what we used. So it's just a sparkling wine, but you could use white wine, you could use orange juice, you could even use apple juice. That's fine, whatever you got. So I just boiled that until all the berries were burst, and this, when it gets cold, will sort of kind of congeal or firm up a little bit. So there is our festive holiday cranberry sauce. But that could very easily be used as a breakfast item if you did it in a parfait with some yogurt and some pumpkin seeds or granola. It could be used as a dessert, spooned warm on top of vanilla ice cream. And there's so many great plant-based ice creams now. So if you have lactose issues, there's so many good options. So we make it once, enjoy it 3 different ways. The next idea really was for a stuffing or a dressing, depending on what part of the world you live in. And rather than using bread, which can be, again, when it comes to your GI issues, some people have a hard time, especially with white bread. So I used quinoa instead of bread, cooked quinoa. I had 3 cups of cooked quinoa, which started out as 1.5 cups of dry quinoa, expands to 3 cups of cooked quinoa. 2 cups each of roasted butternut squash that I just did in the oven with a little olive oil, salt, and pepper, right next to some chopped up cauliflower, same oven, 375 until it was just knife tender. Little salt and pepper. And then the other ingredient in here was tempeh. Now, in this case, I used tempeh bacon, which is a smoked tempeh. I hate that they use the word bacon in the description because don't think of it as bacon. It's fermented, it's easy to digest, it's delicious, but if you're comparing it to bacon, it is a little bit salty, but beyond that, I always feel like you're setting yourself up for disappointment if you think that it's bacon. It's not bacon, but it's a great addition to this stuffing. So you serve this warm as a side dish or underneath your slices of roast turkey or ham or whatever it is you like to have for the holidays. Or you can take leftovers of this, add a little bit of splash of vinegar, and maybe some chopped kale or spinach leaves, and you've got a nice salad. You can serve either warm or cold. Or if you're putting together a soup, any of the leftovers from this can be added with some veggie stock, with some white beans even, and turn this into a nice autumnal or winter soup with no issue whatsoever. So you mix it together once, and again, everything in this has already been cooked. A little bit of, I put a little garam masala in there, which is a spice blend I use often. It's in the curry family. It's got a little cumin, a little bay leaf, a little peppercorn, a little cinnamon, but it's a great dish to have as sort of a side dish. You can use it in multiple ways. All right, so there's that. Now, we're gonna make, so the one thing I'm gonna demonstrate to you now is a red cabbage, sort of a braised red cabbage with apples, which is great warm as a side dish, or you can utilize it as a cold sort of a slaw or a salad that you can serve alongside any of the other things that you're doing. So I got a skillet kind of on medium heat here. I'm going to put a little olive oil in our pan. We're recording today at an active restaurant, and lunch/dinner service is happening. So Might be a little background noise, but you know what? People are eating, they're having fun, they're making experiences around a table, and that's kind of my whole thing when it comes to food. I love that food is this sort of a medium for great things to happen. So, all right, and we go with, this is about a half of an onion, and depending on what time of year it is, if it's in the spring and the onions are sweet, you can put a whole onion in there, but right now, being November, I'm going to do a half onion. I still get the crunch and the flavor I want without that kind of spiciness that onions can have. Into that, I've got some salt and pepper, just a good pinch of salt and pepper, and a pinch of allspice. Not so much that it makes it, ridiculously sweet. I would say that's, a half of a teaspoon roughly of ground allspice, and then the same with ground ginger. And these flavors go great with cabbage. Turn up my heat here a little bit. And as that starts to sweat, saute, I am going to chop up an apple. Now, if you're using an organic apple, absolutely fine to use the peel. In fact, there's a lot of fiber, a lot of nutrients in the peel. Totally edible, so don't worry about that. If it's not an organic apple, that's where most of the pesticides and also fertilizers, fungicides end up on the peel. So you definitely want to use a fruit and veggie wash or just peel the apple. So we're going to cut out the core. That's the easiest way, as I cut it into quarters, set it down and then go at an angle like this just to kind of pop that core out of there. And then I'm just going to cut some slivers. And this is all going to get chewed up anyway. If your knife skills aren't great, don't worry about it. This is all going in the same spot eventually. And in go my apples. And these are going to cook down a little bit, so it adds some nice sweetness to it. My friend Dr. Ellen Steinberg always kind of talks about fiber. And if you're eating a whole apple, or in this case, chopped apple, yes, an apple has natural sugars in it. It's got fructose in it, but it's kind of entrapped. It's wrapped up in the fiber of the apple. So if you were to juice this apple and drink the juice, that might be too much sugar for you. It might actually hit you, like it's like you're eating a candy bar. But if you're leaving the apple as a whole food, by leaving it as an apple and not juicing it, the fiber that is kind of holding all that together as a matrix makes it harder to get the sugars out. And also the fiber helps kind of slow down the absorption of that fructose. So, so often we think this sort of reductionist idea of nutrition, that we have to extract the nutrition out of the food, but so often it's the whole food, not the grocery store chain, but the whole food that you eat is really the way that you should eat it. It's the way nature intended. And our bodies can handle it much better than trying to extract or reduce the nutrition out of one particular thing. All right, so here we go. I got my apples, and I've got my onions going, my spice, and then I'm going to go in with some cabbage. I probably have more than I need here. This is a half of a head of red cabbage, but this was a really big head of red cabbage. So I'm not putting the whole thing in there because I still want to be able to kind of spin this around. Not measuring, but I'm guessing that's about 4 cups of shredded red cabbage. And then I'm going to go in with a little bit of rice wine vinegar, which has a nice kind of a sweetness to it. If you've ever had Bavarian red cabbage, this tastes a lot like a Bavarian red cabbage in that it's a little bit sweet. Now, true Bavarian red cabbage, usually they put sugar in there. But I'm not adding sugar, I'm just adding that sweet vinegar, and that's going to do kind of the same effect of bringing some of the sweetness to the dish. We have the salt, we have the sourness from that same vinegar, and we're going to have the crunch of the red cabbage. So I want this to stay crunchy. The heat really was to bring out the flavor of the spices and also kind of wilt down the onion, but I don't want to cook this like a Bavarian red cabbage where it becomes kind of mushy and soggy. Honestly, a few minutes like this and it's going to be good to go. Now again, my point is you can eat this warm right next to everything else that you have on the spread, but you can also, after it's kind of been braised and you've taken that crunch down by about, say, 15-20%, it makes a great cold side. So it can be a salad, it can be a slaw, it can sit under that piece of roast chicken right next to the quote-unquote stuffing that I made out of the quinoa and the butternut squash and the cauliflower. But This is really one of my favorite kind of sides. When I was a kid, my dad used to save me the core of the cabbage, and he would dip it in a little bit of sugar, brown sugar, and then hand it to me. And that was a kind of a German kid's snack, which sounds weird, but honestly, I kind of missed that. That was a great little thing. And again, much to Dr. Ellen's joy, it's full of fiber. So even though I was eating some sugar, I had plenty of fiber to kind of offset that. So just a quick recap: we had our vegetarian, actually it's vegan, dressing or stuffing, which works perfectly as a side dish or as a salad or as a soup. Lots of flavor, holds well, high in protein, easy to digest. We have our blueberry cranberry compote, which you can use, again, cold, kind of as you would normally cranberry sauce. Eat it a little bit warmed up on top of vanilla ice cream, chill it down, put it in a parfait. You cook once, eat multiple times. And then lastly, we have our braised red cabbage with apples, with a little ginger, a little allspice, a little rice wine vinegar. So it's going to have that sweet and sour crunch. It's great warm, it's great cold. And again, when you're going through treatment or when you are a caregiver, sometimes we only have a limited amount of time or limited amount of energy to cook. So anytime you can make these things ahead of time and enjoy them in multiple applications, I think it's a win-win-win on all fronts. Happy holidays, everybody. Whatever holidays you and your families celebrate, I hope it's a great one. I hope it's full of memories and great food and great memories. But you have a choice to make it a healthy one, and so hopefully I'm going to be equipping you with some of the ideas. If there's an ingredient here, if you don't like cauliflower, take it out. Put broccoli in there, or put butter beans, whatever it is that you don't like. If you don't like blueberries, omit them. All of these are meant to be sort of ideas that you can latch onto and make them your own. Happy holidays again. Take care of yourself, take care of each other, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time here in the Gesundheit Kitchen. Remember, gastriccancer.org. Commit to a cure. Whatever you can do to help, please do. Thank you.